that's kind of like the dark side of self-development, right? So it's like,
Yeah.
it's when you fall short of your expectations of yourself, and that's one of people's criticisms of the whole thing is like, well, I don't want to set these expectations because then when I don't reach them, I'm going to feel bad about myself or goals in general, right? And so
Right.
how would you address that? How would you address someone with those kinds of criticisms, say?
It's I've been there. I've been there a lot. And I feel like I'm really started to get a handle on it the last couple months.
Hmm.
But I spent a lot of time, especially in my health, being what's the term, orthorexic,
Hmm.
where you're just so into it that if something little goes wrong, like you're just off the deep end almost,
Right.
and that is more unhealthy than if you just kind of screwed up and said whatever. That's all
Right.
right.
Mm.
So I've spent time in that space, and it really, to me, has come down to like how we talked about that self love.
Hmm.
And you can say, I get it. All right. I didn't hit my goals today, which means two things. I either set too many goals or I didn't work hard enough, which means that my body and brain probably weren't sufficiently like aligned and well fueled,
Hmm.
you know? And it's pretty much one of those two things. So if I know it's those two things, I look back and say, what did I do wrong?
Right.
And then no matter what you screwed up that day, as long as you learn from it,
Hmm.
okay, I shouldn't set more than 9 goals or more than 5 goals on my to-do list for tomorrow. Like
Hmm.
I could set 3 big goals and 3 little tasks or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear
You know?
three a lot. And as far as like setting your daily objectives, like you can
Hmm.
get more done, but like your primary things, I think Tim
Yeah.
Ferriss is like, he only sets two,
Hmm.
and then, I remember Darren Hardy, uh, mentioned like one of his biggest mentors only sets one, that he does
Hmm.
one thing for the day. So if he wants to do something else, that's something he does on another day. But
Oh yeah.
he literally focuses the entire day on one thing.
Right.
And so, different strokes for different folks, but I can
Hmm.
definitely say that doing too much in one day is a recipe for disaster or lack of mastery, at least.
Right. Yeah, and that I think is one thing that really musicians can relate to. If
Hmm.
you've ever worked real hard on mastering an instrument,
Hmm.
what do you have to do that? You focus.
Hmm.
You do that one thing.
Yeah.
You deliberately practice that like the two measure phrase of the solo that you're trying to master
Hmm.
until that one little piece is perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then you move on. Because if
Yeah.
you don't, that one little piece is never going to get perfect.
Right. No, you really need like this disproportionate amount of focus on it.
Yeah. And when you like how the guy has the one thing, and I think there's a book called The One Thing,
Mm.
right? Where it's what's the one thing I can do that'll make everything in my life easier or irrelevant,
Oh yeah.
you know?
Oh yeah.
And so when you think of it like that, if I could only do one thing today, what would it be?
Hmm.
Okay, then everything you do after that is extra credit and makes you feel even better.
Yeah. Yeah. If you set
So,
your expectations to something that would move the needle, but also is not so hard to achieve that you end up not achieving it, you know, it's like aiming. If it's something that you need to push yourself into, like set your minimums really low, so you at least get started. Like
yeah,
with writers, like setting, okay, I'm gonna write just one sentence or something like that, but you end up writing more.
yeah,
Just it's the whole process of
right.
sitting down and getting into it. But if you have
Hmm.
this whole audacious 10,000 word goal for the day, that that's it's going to be so overwhelming that you're going to like procrastinate to hell, you know. So
Yes. Yes. And I think honestly, it seems like the theme of, I mean, most of what we're talking about today and most of the self-development and wanting to just be a better person
hmm.
comes down to just try shit, man.
Yeah.
Just try shit. If you're worried about all these, which tactic is going to work best, like throw it all out. Pick the first one you heard or the first one that sounds kind of fun.
Yeah.
Try it out.
Yeah.
Just do it. Because otherwise, you'll end up like me, where you're in perfection paralysis for so long, you don't know which one to do, and then it's been a year since you actually went to the gym.
Right.
Like, oh God, what did I do?
Oh yeah, I mean, people
You know?
get perfection paralysis or analysis
Yeah.
paralysis. I have
Yeah.
friends who are, notoriously that way. It's just like
Mhm.
they'll spend way too much time thinking like, what's the absolute best, and they'll spend weeks. And if it's like a weight
Yeah.
loss program, dude, you could have been like pounds and pounds heavier. Leaner by this time. If you'd just been doing anything, you
Yeah.
know. It's just like get on the road and then figure it out along the way.
Right.
And
Right. I
at
think
least mhm.
there was, what is it? In that book, The Success Principles. It's Jack Canfield. And
Yep.
so there's a bunch of like hippie shit in there. If you guys are skeptical, that might not be the first book you reach for.
Right.
But one thing he does talk about is fire, aim, ready.
Yeah.
It's just like, just shoot for the, like, in the general maybe area of the target.
Right.
If you didn't hit it, adjust from there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man, if I had known that, how much further would you be if you just took the action and got the feedback from that instead of sticking in the theory too long?